So my name is Lisa, and I don't like networking. I think I want to start by saying that, but it doesn't stop me from trying. And so today I'm going to talk to you about how you can leverage being a member of Community of Women in Water to increase your network and also make useful and possibly meaningful connections with colleagues in your professional field. Now, we're assuming you're all working in the water sector because you're in this community, but maybe like me, one day you'll also decide to venture outside, and these tips can therefore be helpful and be applied for networking also outside the community. Now, as Catherine mentioned earlier, I've been a member of Community of Women in Water since November or December 2020, and I still remember that first call. I think it was 7 a.m. I had just moved to Stockholm. It was cold. I was in my pajamas. I think I just pulled a sweater over me and grabbed a cup of coffee and went into this room with women I've never met before. A colleague from my then job at Global Water Partnership, Danny, recommended that I come to this event. And it was a bit intimidating at first, but already on that first call, I met several women to whom I later reached out, and some of them reached out to me. So I can say that over the few years that I've been a member of this community, I have found it very helpful for meeting new colleagues, for making connections. And I've also had the fortune of collaborating with Catherine on several events while I was the senior gender specialist at Global Water Partnership. Now, a thing that I found that works for me in networking is connecting people together. Not so much me connecting to new people, but me bringing other people together that I have met in different contexts. This is something that I find I'm good at. I really enjoy making these connections. I have this funny ability to remember random details about what people say to me, about their work, about their career. And then I can often think of another person. Oh, you should meet that person. You should meet that person. And so I kind of am the matchmaker. I love being that. And sometimes the opportunity then presents that I collaborate with these people in a new venture, but often their connection doesn't include me, and it's fine. It's just the joy for me of connecting those people together. What I'm really bad at is reaching out to people I've never met before. I find that quite intimidating. I have a bit of an imposter syndrome related to that. Like, what if I reach out to a person and they're like, who's this person? Why are they bothering me? If they don't reply, I'm thinking like, oh my God, I must have said something, right? So that's definitely not my forte. But I've seen colleagues do that really successfully. And so I'm trying to learn from what they're doing. And I'm going to give you an example of someone I've considered to be a really great networker. And I think she's also the member of this community. Her name is Kristi Druca, and she's the CEO of an organization called Includivate. And when I was living in Ethiopia, I was already working in Ethiopia for about 6 years. When she moved there to work for another CGIR center, I was impressed with how well she networked and how she built her network of people working in this gender equality and social inclusion workspace that I was also working in. She came in really prepared. She did her research. She looked at the people who could be relevant to her work. And then she reached out to these people, sending emails, inviting them to meet up in person. This was pre-COVID, and meet up with people in person or over email and create these connections. And then what's really wonderful about the way she does this is also then introducing different people who she met to other people. So through her, I've learned a lot about these things, and I try to sort of, practice this, but it doesn't come naturally to me and the way it does to her. Now, you may say that someone like Kristi, who's working in a senior position in an international organization on a big project, that it's easy to make connections because it comes with some sort of her role comes maybe with some prestige, and people would want to connect with her because she's doing something that could be of value to them. But you don't need to be a senior person to be good at networking. Even if you're still a graduate student or in a very junior position, you can reach out to people and ask to connect with them. And I want to give an example of another person, another community member, a colleague from Brazil, Liza Debevec, who is a member of Community of Women in Water and whom I met through the rural water supply network mentoring program. I don't know if you're familiar with this program, but this is a program that happens every year, and Community of Women in Water has been partnering with Rural Water Supply Network for several years. And I was a mentor in the program in 2021, and I was paired with Anna. And I was impressed how Anna, even very early in her career, was very proactive in reaching out to people and asking for support, asking for people to be her mentors, to learn from them. When I first met her, I thought, oh, I need to introduce her to all these different people as a mentor. And when I checked her LinkedIn profile, I realized she was connected probably to more people in the water sector than I was, because she was so proactive about it. She always jumped on the opportunity to meet new people. And as she's growing in her career, she now reaches out to me, offering opportunities, telling me how she knows of a scholarship if I want to share it with someone else. So she's really working this space and connections she's made, both to her benefit but to the benefit of others. So these are, a couple of examples of people who do networking differently than me and are really successful at it. So I mentioned the mentoring program, and I think a mentoring program, both as a mentor, as a mentee, is a wonderful way of making connections. And this year, I know that the Rural Water Supply Network is opening up the mentorship program in March. And so you can sign up to be a mentor or a mentee regardless of your age. Even if you're only a few years into your career, you still have a lot to offer to other people. So I encourage you to be that connector and use the opportunity to meet new people through that. Now, I want to give a couple of practical points at the end now, before we go into the breakout rooms where we'll have the opportunity to discuss some of these things at a more individual level. Two things that I've read about that resonate with me, and I'm trying to follow them to a certain degree. One is, consider making your own personal board of directors or personal advisory board. Now, what does that mean? If you imagine a company, a big organizations, they'll have a board or chair. There's this boardroom, and there's these important people who they call on to give advice on whether the strategy is going right, where to look for financing, what are the new opportunities that are coming up, right? These people meet together and they give you advice. But what you can do is have this kind of like a symbolic or sort of virtual personal advisory board, where you make a list of people for yourself who have advised you in the past or who you think could be useful to give you advice in the future on issues related to your career. And it's really great to think about, both peers, people who are in your current position to give you feedback on what could work for you, more senior people, but also junior people, because maybe they're more in touch with the latest trends or have ideas that are different from your own. These people will never meet in person, probably. It's unlikely that you will actually organize a board meeting with all of them. It could be fun, actually. But these are people you can reach out to when you need advice on certain things. And so that's something you may consider doing. I have prepared some resources that Catherine will share in a follow-up email, where there's links to how you can do this, how you can design your own personal advisory board, and also links to other resources. Now, another and final thing I want you to consider is approach networking as a game, as a fun thing. I know that myself, I find networking both fun and intimidating at times. And so approaching it in this kind of fun way can be a good way. Michael Melcher, who's the author of a book called Your Invisible Network, suggests creating a bingo card for networking, creating a sort of a list of things that you could be doing in the networking that are considered to be good for networking, and sort of on weekly basis, commit to doing like 3 or 4, and sort of like, by the end of the week you have bingo because you've done like 4 things in a row. And if you like gamifying things, it can work for you. If you think this is the dumbest thing ever, that's also fine, right? But he suggests that every week you could do a number of things, like reaching out to people with a specific request, or also reaching out for the sake of reaching out, but with no request to connect. For example, just keeping a connection alive. This could be an example of that, could be writing to a colleague you have not been in touch with for a while, but you see that they've written a new article or have a new job. And so you email them, and say, really well done, or I was really excited to read this article. These points stood out to me. Hope all is well. You're not asking them to reach back to you. And I think that's important in the context of people being very busy, and nobody wants another chore, feel like, oh my God, I have all these emails I have to reply to, and now there's another one, right? Sometimes that can actually stress people. There's this thing about connecting with people on LinkedIn through pinging them, commenting, and that's a great way of connecting with people and staying on someone's radar. But there's also things we should be careful about. And here, I mean, like, for example, if there's a job advertisement on LinkedIn and you want your colleague to know about, some people have the tendency to write the person's name in the comments, tag the person in the comments. Now, the risk there is your colleague has not announced to their boss that they're looking for another job. So if that happens too many times, maybe you put them in a difficult situation. So maybe sending a private message instead would be helpful. Now, these are a couple of things that I wanted to share with you. There's a lot more you can do, and we'll have an opportunity to talk in breakout rooms. And if anyone wants to reach out to me to have a conversation around this, I'm always available. And as I said before, with reaching out, it's good to have a specific ask. Know what you're coming to me for, so that I know how to support you in my answers. If you're too vague, then it's often more of a burden on the person you're connecting with. So I hope this was helpful, and I look forward to the discussion. Thank you.